Hi, my name is David. I'm owner and car expert here at Motorenn, and today I'm excited to share with you my thoughts on the Ferrari F8. This is a beautiful car, and in today's world, it's no longer being produced. So in terms of the used F8, we were trying to answer today, who is it for, and how you should be looking at it as you look to acquire one potentially. This car is for the auto enthusiast who wants the ultimate all-around supercar that kind of does everything really well. And of course, you have the Ferrari badge, which is super appealing in and of itself. This car represents a significant evolution over the Ferrari 488, both in terms of aesthetics with significant revisions to the front and the rear fascia, as well as kind of a cool upgrade to the glass over the engine bay, which goes from glass to a slit-cut Lexan, so it looks very sporty. And of course, a significant upgrade in terms of horsepower and torque. What we generally see with the Ferrari F8 is that the Ferrari F8 finally feels like supercar in terms of its speed and performance. Quarter mile times, 0-60 times now rival that of the McLaren 720S and 750S, whereas before with the 458s, the 488s, the Ferraris were lagging behind to an extent. Coming back to the Ferrari 488, again, as we said, there are significant changes to the aesthetics, but it is ultimately an evolution of that vehicle. So there will be some similarities in the overall body lines. The interior structure is reminiscent, although updated. And so we have had customers ask, is it really worth the upgrade to go from a Ferrari 488 into the F8? Key features to look out for on the Ferrari F8 is that carbon fiber driving zone. It's absolutely critical to the feel and aesthetics of this vehicle, and it is an option. So when you look for one, not all of them may necessarily have that. What that is the carbon fiber steering wheel with the light up LEDs that light up as you go higher in the RPM band. That brings in this bit of F1 technology into the cockpit and really gives the car that supercar feel. Of note, in the Ferrari F8, it's still kind of an evolution of the 488's carbon fiber driving zone and not what you see in the most recent modern Ferraris, as in the Roma or the 296, where that carbon fiber driving zone, the steering wheel has a few more updates and some haptic feedback sensors and such on the steering wheel. But in the F8, it's still an absolutely critical option. Additionally, when you're looking for an F8, we tend to look for ones with the front axle lift. It's not absolutely an iconic Ferrari feature, but when it comes down to resale, both in terms of value and time to sale, it's something that our customers are always looking for. It's a funny thing, on the McLarens and the Lamborghinis, we almost never see them without the front axle lift, even though those are options. On the Ferrari, sometimes it's left off. I don't know whether if it's for weight savings purposes, it adds about 15 to 20 pounds to the vehicle, or if it's a cost item, but I would say get it, or look for one with that front axle lift component. The Ferrari F8 competes well against the Lamborghini Huracan, as well as the McLaren 720S and 750S. In regards to the Lamborghini Huracan, we're talking about the Technica, as well as the STO. Now the Lamborghinis, they come with a naturally aspirated V10, and that engine just sounds so good. Unfortunately, the Ferrari, it does have that Ferrari sound when you're high up in the rev band, but those turbochargers do mute the sound a little bit. It wouldn't necessarily be imprudent to invest in a titanium catback exhaust system to increase that exhaust note on the Ferrari to really give it that extra zing. When it comes down to the McLaren 720S and 750S, those two vehicles bookend the Ferrari F8 in terms of value. The 720S currently trading in the low 200s to mid 200s, and the 750S being the new vehicle in the industry, typically MSRPing and selling in the 400s. Now the Ferrari F8, again, on the secondary market at present is in the 300 to 400K range. Of course, the McLaren 720 and 750 are great cars. They have the really cool dihedral doors and they go really, really fast. But what's nice about the F8 is, again, that performance has finally increased to the point where straight line acceleration is in line with that 720, 750 and doesn't feel like you're leaving anything on the table. We also do see some customers potentially cross-shopping between an older Aventador and the F8, but they're different enough that those customers tend to make a very quick decision on which type of vehicle they're ultimately targeting. And then finally, we often do see a lot of customers cross-shopping that against the Ferrari 488, whether it's they're looking to upgrade their current 488 to get into the F8, or whether they're looking to buy their first supercar, whether it's a 488 or the F8. It is a question to be asked, is the extra performance and is the adjustment in aesthetics worth it for the $100,000 step up in price? For a lot of customers, the 488 does satisfy pretty much all your needs, and it has a similar enough driving experience that it might be worth saving the money. But if you want the newest, the latest, the best of the mid-engine supercars in the Ferrari lineup, the F8 is it. Now, when we talk about how it's performing more broadly in terms of value as an asset in your garage, the Ferrari F8 is holding up well. We're seeing that from the COVID highs, it has come down a little bit like everything else has, but it has plateaued a little bit sooner than most of its competitive set. I think that partly comes down to just how aesthetically appealing the F8 is, and also partly because its successor in the Ferrari lineup, the 296, has not been doing as well. Now, Ferrari hasn't said the 296 is officially the successor to the Ferrari F8, but for all intents and purposes, it is. It fits in that kind of entry-level mid-engine supercar in the Ferrari lineup, and entry-level is obviously stated in a relative term in this case. But the 296, what we're finding with customer feedback is they find the aesthetics a little bit challenging, and they also find the V6 a bit of a turnoff, and then finally the hybrid system does present some issues. While the performance is absolutely fantastic on that vehicle, I think that is hurting the 296's value a little bit, and in doing that, it's actually elevating the F8 in relative positioning. And with that, we're seeing that F8 is holding up well, and I think as we go down the line, because it does represent potentially the last of the non-hybrid, non-electrified versions of the Ferrari mid-engine supercar, the F8 will hold well going into future years. If it were me, I would be looking for one that's well optioned, of course with the carbon fiber driving zone and the front axle lift. I'd also be looking for the gold rake seats, which are kind of their sport bucket seats, which are a little bit more comfortable than the sport bucket seats in other competitors in the segment, though a little bit less bolstered and less aggressive. And I'd also look for it in resale red. When it comes down to it, it is a little bit cliche to get a red Ferrari, but if you can only have one, that's the one to get. If you can have many, then hey, look, you're probably in a position where it doesn't matter about resale in terms of value or time to resale. But we definitely see a strong correlation between the color red and how well it performs down the line. So if you found this kind of information useful, please hit the like button and subscribe. We're looking forward to creating a bit more of this type of content as we share our perspective on these used supercars, how they perform in today's market, how we potentially see them, how our customers have reacted to them, so that way we can get you as informed as you can be when you're looking for that next vehicle to add to your garage.